Good evening, everybody. For those of you who are here now, um, I wanted to get along a little bit earlier, but I got distracted by dinner. So, of course, I'm here when I can. Hey, Loppy, how's it going? It's good to see you, man. You were waiting? Yeah, I try to give a little bit of time at the beginning and just kind of get myself prepared and ready to go before I actually kind of start turning on the sound and get things going. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you're here. Ready to see some magic? Maybe not that kind of magic. um, Tonight, just the boring kind of magic. Well, maybe not quite boring, but so uh, on Sunday, I finished building this deck on stream. I went through the process of explaining what I was doing with the deck and kind of going through deck building process. So it seemed prudent to go ahead and play this deck tonight, which meant that I kind of needed to play some more budget decks against it. 'Cause that's sort of the intention, is since this is a budget deck, which is, I don't know, I think it's something on the order of like $30 or something like that. But yes, Nintendo can do magic too, maybe, kind of. They can make people disappear, I've heard. Whenever they want to, they can just make somebody disappear. Yep. I have a different kind of magic. So, not quite that powerful of magic. I'm kind of a lowly mage in that case. Um, so yeah, so I will be playing these three budget decks. I did four the last time. I thought that maybe three would be better appropriate this time. Maybe not go on quite too long. I think the last one we went like for 3.5 hours or something. So such a long time. I kind of want to. I think getting it close to 3 hours is probably about as long as they really should go if I can help it. But they're all three control decks. They're all sort of the somewhat kind of weaker control. I mean, budget decks that I have, because the other ones are kind of built to be sort of combo hyper aggro type decks. So in this case, these are a little bit slower. They're not necessarily bad. They're just not quite as potent. So that was going to be good for testing out this particular deck. Is kind of trying to find a good level to play it at, and kind of go through the process of seeing how it plays and how well it does. And I'm not necessarily sure that we're going to see it perform really well. I'm kind of I I don't know how well this Fira deck is going to do this one, but we'll see. The other two are definitely solid builds that I've tested out a couple of, like, at least a few times, and they've always done me right. So Dralnu is definitely a very classic control deck with a lot of instants and sorceries that you can cast from the graveyard, and just kind of slowly attrition your opponents until you can play a final spell to win the game. And the other budget deck is a Planeswalker deck. I mean, budget Planeswalkers isn't normally a thing that you see, so it seemed like a funny build, and it kind of turned out to be okay. So I'm kind of keeping it around and kind of happy I built it. But we're going to go and get started with this. And mainly I like this hand because we have a good amount of lands to start out with. We're still looking for two more so that we can play our commander and get the card advantage from that going. To help us get there, we have Wall of Omens that will draw us a card, and then we have some other stuff if we need it. Another creature to return enchantments and artifacts back to our hand, a removal spell, and a recursion spell. So these are all low cost, great cards to have at the beginning to start setting ourselves up for good card advantage using Fira's ability, which Fira, just what she does is if you play two spells in a single turn, then you get to essentially, you look at the top three cards and you get to pick one and put it into your hand, which is really nice. And we can do it on everybody's turn. So if we have a lot of mana, then we can just set ourselves up to keep doing that. And ultimately, we will use either pump spells to make Fira really big and kill somebody that way, or we will try to get these spells that basically give us take a bunch of life from everybody else and give us the life that we take from them. So let's go and see what we draw on our first card, and it is a removal spell, so that's really nice. Mortify is a 3-cost spell that destroys a creature or an enchantment. We will go ahead and play a Plains to feign that we have a low-cost white removal spell, and continue onwards. And coming up to the Dralnu deck, I picked a hand that I may not normally have picked, but I'm kind of okay just because we're in sort of a testing state with this, that we're going to see if this still pans out pretty well, and that's because we have a decent number of these lands here to get us started. We still need a couple more to play Dralnu, but our problem is that the cards that we have in our hand, 2 of them are our finisher cards, cards that we want at the end of the game to win, and then 2 more are very reactive cards that are they're a little bit specific in their application for what they're used for. One of these can win us the game if somebody else is doing really well. We can essentially flip the table on them and take them out using their own cards. And then a wrath effect, but it's a kind of specific wrath effect. So I'm not like hyper confident that this is a very strong hand, because we don't have any draw spells, we don't have any spot removal, we don't have any ramp whatsoever. So it's a little too slow for my liking, but like I said, I don't want to go too fast with the Dralnu deck and kind of take everybody else out too quickly. So let's see what our first card is, and that is, it's a removal spell. So there you go. It's a cheap removal spell. It's a nice full art card too. I really kind of like it. All it does is it counters a creature spell. So we can kill a creature before it even comes into play. So let's go ahead and play our island and pass to the Elsha deck, which is in kind of the same position as the Dralnu deck. So this Lich deck has kind of a slow start, and so does the Elsha deck in maybe a somewhat different way. So that's mainly because we started off with a lot of land here, but unfortunately we're in a 3-color deck, so getting 3 lands of the same color does not help us one bit. Now the reason that I'm going to go ahead and take this is namely because I do have Rogren Crystal. And Rogren Crystal can tap for one of all of the colors of mana that we have if we need to. So we can play it to give ourselves more mana and the colors that we need. But then if I start drawing more land of the other colors, then what I can do is I can discard Roggen Crystal to draw a card and try to keep going with stuff. Otherwise, we got 2 decent Planeswalkers, one fairly low cost that makes us defenders, and then a kind of beefy Chandra card to pick up the slack once I get to the 6 mana needed for it. So let's see what Elsha has for us, and it is a counterspell as well, Condescend. It's a pretty nice one. It's an X and a blue, and you counter a target spell unless its controller pays X. So we pay X plus 1, and they pay X if they want to stop us from stopping them. And then regardless of that, we get to scry 2 if the spell resolves at all. So probably what we may do is since we're going last, we may go ahead and play a land here, and then the next turn we'll play our second land and have Condescend ready to basically counter somebody's next spell that they try to play and get a good scry 2 in. So early counter and scry 2. Let's move back over to the Fira deck. Nice start to this game. So let's see. Go ahead and draw up, untap, upkeep, draw, and we got ourselves a ramp card. So that's pretty good. It still hits one of our turns for doing stuff, but that's kind of okay. So what we're going to go and do is pay 2, or we're going to play a swamp, then pay 2 mana for Wall of Omens, which is a colorless and white. It's a 0/4 wall, so it has defender, so it can't attack, but it has a kind of high defense stat. And then after it enters the battlefield, we draw a card to replace it. And we drew a removal spell, so that's kind of nice. It's unfortunate we won't be able to use it for its miracle cost, but if we do need to hit a reset button, at least we have one to do something later. So let's rotate over to the Dralnu deck and see if they draw another good card here. Yeah, I have a feeling that this is going to probably take a little while just because of how slow it's going. We draw our next card, so untap, upkeep, draw. And it is neutralized, so we get to counter another spell if we need to. And this one is also special because we can pay a cost to discard it if we want to draw a card instead of countering something. So let's go ahead and play our next island. And now that we have 2 counter spells, we can kind of hold off and see what people do. And continuing over, we get back to the Planeswalker deck. And untap, upkeep, and draw. Our draw card is a land. Awesome. That's so good. So that was like exactly what we were looking for. Now we have all 3 colors of mana if we need to. Let's go ahead and put this Alpine Meadow into play tapped. It's a snowland that's dual basic land type. It's a mountain and a plains. And when it enters the battlefield, it enters tapped. But after this point, we can tap it for 2 of the other colors that we didn't have before, which was red and white. Don't have much else to do this turn, so we are going to pass it back onto the Fira deck. And Fira, I think, is probably going to spend this turn playing its ramp spell and going forward with that. Now, I did talk about saving the blue mana for the Elsha deck so that we could counterspell in this exact case. But the difference is that the land that we drew comes into play tapped, and we really want to be sure that we can, if we need to, we can play things on time, on schedule, as much as possible. Which means, unfortunately, using that turn to play a tapped land. So we're going to miss being able to counterspell the Darksteel Ingot that the Fira deck is about to play, but that's kind of okay. So we untapped our lands, and we drew a card for the turn. So single combat, this is another one of our Wrath effects. So it's not necessarily ideal. We kind of want to see another land. That's probably just one more land if we can help it. But for now, that'll be okay because we still have something to do this turn, and that's to play a swamp, tap 3 mana, and now we have a ramp spell. So we're not behind yet, but in fact we're a little bit ahead. Because we have 1 more mana than normal, but we still need that 5th mana to be able to play Fira and start taking advantage of her ability. So we will for now pass because our Wall of Omens is it's in the name. It can't attack. It's just a big wall. So let's go ahead. We have no untap. Draw a card. There we go. We have another swamp. So now we are fully ready to counter whatever we want. We can counter creature spells, and we can counter any other spell with the neutralize. So now we're just going to sit on these 2 removal spells, play our swamp next turn, and see if we can't get to the 5 mana. Or really what we want to see at this point is who are we beheading? I don't know who we are beheading this turn. We don't have too many beheading spells in our hand right now. But the removal spells we will see if we can't use on a creature spell maybe. in the following turns. Maybe if we're lucky, a commander. So we pass it along to the Planeswalker deck, and we untap, upkeep, draw a card. It is a Planeswalker. So in this case, I think what we do is we go and play an island, and I think we just try to get ourselves ramping up. We could hang on to the Condescend. I guess maybe we could hold off a turn. Let me think. So we could actually... Yeah, it might be better not to ramp this turn. The only reason why is because even though it sets us off from being able... It puts us off a turn from being able to play Elsha. I'm looking over there at the Firja deck, and the Firja deck does seem to have almost the amount of mana that it needs to cast its commander, and we could really nail that commander with our counterspell if given the opportunity. So I think we hang on for now and don't play anything other than that island, and maybe we catch... Hopefully we catch a commander and make it more expensive, but otherwise Dralnu might have something tricky up its sleeve and we can counter that instead. So we will pass it on to the Firja deck and to see what they do. Kind of going around. The only problem with doing 3 decks, we have 1/4 of this that's unused or being used for dice and paraphernalia and stuff like that. So we have to turn the table all the way around to get back to our first turn here. So let's untap, draw a card, and it is the last land that we need. So let's go ahead and... Now, that being said... Okay. So the thing here is that we have 2 different blue decks against us that are holding up plenty of mana to counterspell. We could see that because they're untapped lands. They both have 3 lands. They both have double blue. They could pretty much play any good counterspell in the entire game at this point with that amount of mana. So even though we could cast Firja this turn, it maybe makes more sense to wait for now, because we could get caught with our pants down. If we get Firja counterspelled now, we have to get 2 more mana to be able to cast her. And it might be better to play better safe than sorry in this case. So I think actually we don't lose anything by waiting a turn, because they're still behind us in mana. Because we still have more mana than they do by 2. And they haven't played any other cards, so they almost certainly are saving for something. So it definitely makes more sense to just hang off for now and not cast anything and make it look like we also have something some kind of trick up our sleeve. So we're going to hang for a little bit and see what the other decks do when I don't do anything. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. So we go back to Dralnu, and like I said, nobody cast anything, so there was no reason to counter any spells. I think then, at the end of the Firja deck's turn, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and discard our Neutralize, which is one of the counter spells we have, in order to draw a card. And the reason I'm doing this is because Dralnu's ability allows me to replay things from my graveyard. So getting rid of this Neutralize now actually doesn't really hurt me all that much, because I can replay it. I can cast it later if I need to. And since I need 1 more mana to be able to get into casting Dralnu out, drawing more cards now and as often as I can is probably better for me than waiting. So we're going to go and do that at the end of the turn. Then we will untap for our turn, draw a card. It is Crypt Incursion. Exile sorry, exile all creature cards from target player's graveyard, and I gain 3 life for each card exiled this way. Great card. Another removal card that's very kind of situationally specific, so doesn't help us too much out here. Oh, I didn't. That was actually the card that I was supposed to draw from the neutralize. So this is the card that I'm drawing for the turn, and it is an island. Oh, that's so nice. So we will play a swamp. We have 7 cards in hand, so we can't discard anything. What we can do here is we can kind of get the drop on other players now. So nobody else has really played anything. This Aeon Chronicler has a sort of nifty ability. Oh, X can't be 0, so no, we can't play it. We have to do it for 1. I just finally read the full card. So Aeon Chronicler, I'll go and explain to this. What it does is you can suspend it for X. You do X, 3 colorless, and a blue. X can't be 0. And what that does is you put it into exile with that many counters on it. And then once those each turn, each of your upkeeps, you remove a counter. And then once all of them are gone, you basically cast it for free. And whenever a counter is removed from it, while it's removed from the game, you draw a card. So we would get to draw extra cards with it. And then its power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. So what I was thinking about maybe doing is exiling it, but since I can't, so I have to add 1 more mana to be able to do that. I'll go and hang on to it, and then we just keep hoping that this removed soul will be of some use one day. So let's turn to the Elsha deck again. Loppy, I actually do have tea right now. See, I have some tea. It's in this infuser for it, and I guess you can't quite. I can't tilt the cup to be able to show you the cup, but it has an avocado on it. Because avocados are great. They're wonderful. Elsha. So nothing really happened. So I guess we just keep going. We look at the top card. So Narset, Parter of Veils, is our card draw for the turn. We go ahead and play an island. I'm beginning to wonder if we consider casting some cards here. Everybody else has not played anything. We're kind of at a stalemate, but since there's no creatures that can attack, it might be prudent to go ahead and play 1 or more planeswalkers at this point. It's kind of a rough deal here. So let's go ahead and we're going to go and do this. So we have a few different options on what we could play this turn. We could hold off on Condescend, so they have a counter spell. We could play a ramp card, the ramp card that we've been holding, which I'm still kind of feeling like maybe that could be the proper move, but since we haven't drawn another color of mana. Or we have these 3 different planeswalkers. 2 of them are planeswalkers that I purposefully put in the deck as cards that generate creatures that can block. So they're just more blocker type things, which may or may not be exactly what we want here, since we don't need to play anything to do blocking. There's no attackers. Instead, we could play Narset, Parter of Veils, and this one stops opponents from drawing more than 1 card in a turn, and then we can essentially draw cards using its ability. So if we play Narset right now, what we do is we get to draw an extra card, and then with all of this mana that everybody else has, they could have stuff to draw cards, and we could shut them down now with Narset. And so I think that's what we do. I think that's a smart move to have. So let me go get a dice. We're going to play Narset. She starts at 5 counters, so Planeswalkers are kind of like, they're like a weird creature. They're essentially, they act sort of like another player that is working for you. So we are kind of, they are giving us their strength, but it means that they're vulnerable. So they can be attacked just like we can be attacked, which is why we need cards that can block. And it starts off with a number of loyalty counters equal to the number at the bottom, in this case 5, and then it has somewhere between like 1 and 4 different abilities that I can do each turn, and each of them have a cost based on loyalty counters. So in this case, Narset has -2 loyalty counters, so we're going to go and do that. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So the top 4 cards, we have 2 lands, so we can't choose either of those. Then we have we have a Planeswalker and an enchantment. And the enchantment has when Teferi's, it's Oath of Teferi, it costs 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control and then return it to its owner's control, back to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So we get to basically blink a Planeswalker. And then its static ability is that you may activate loyalty abilities from Planeswalkers you control twice each turn rather than once. So normally Planeswalkers can only activate their abilities 1 time each turn. Otherwise, we can do Ralzarek, which has a really neat final ability to flip 5 coins, and then we take an extra turn after each one of those coins comes up heads. So that definitely is a good ability, especially its plus ability allows us to essentially ramp mana. But I'm kind of thinking that the Oath of Teferi is in the long term going to be better for us. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and take, and that's what I'm going to reveal. Yeah, Lobby, we have like a whole shelf on our cabinet that's just all tea. So, just kind of randomizing. I'm not really thinking about what card was what when I did it. So, that's probably good enough. We will put those on the bottom. And then we will pass the turn. I think we don't have too many cards in hand. Yeah, we're at 7, so we're doing okay. So there we go, Narset, to help us out with taking over the game, hopefully. Yes, I do. It's her apocalyptic stockpile of tea. If the world ended, she would probably die before she ran out of tea. Oops. Okay, so we need to go back to Fira, who is a little disappointed about the ability because we do have a decent number of cards. Thankfully, Fira's ability doesn't actually draw us cards, so that's always a good thing. Let's draw a card, and we get another ramp spell, interestingly enough. So I think at this point we do kind of want to attack into that Narset if we can. So we are going to go ahead and cast Fira, or attempt to anyway. We're going to attempt to, because technically speaking, our Dralnu deck, our Dralnu deck does have a counterspell, but okay, so hear me out. Dralnu doesn't quite yet have the ability to cast Dralnu and start trying to do something about the Narset. And because of that, we kind of need something to be done, because Dralnu also has a ton of draw spells in the deck. We like drawing extra cards if we can possibly help it. So Narset is a really big liability to us for as long as it's out there. So even though we're passing up the opportunity to be able to get rid of Fira, it's probably better if we let it pass this time so that Fira can start attacking Narset, and then we can try to do something about Fira later. Because we definitely do have plenty of removal spells as well. So, Fira is going to pass being able to have its commander completely unmolested. Dilma Earl Grey. Yeah, I think I remember you saying that, Loppy, in the this morning. Actually, I guess it was. We do have a really not. I think we have at least one kind of regular Earl Grey tea, and maybe we have a different one, or maybe I'm just thinking about like Irish breakfast or something. Untap, draw a card, another land. So we can play our commander this turn, and since the other deck that could be casting counter spells is kind of tapped out, we're going to go ahead and also take this opportunity to cast our commander. Because the other choice, of course, would be Aeon Chronicler, but Aeon Chronicler would draw us cards that we can't draw until Narset is gone. So, yep, Earl Grey is a good one. We've had a lot of it in our house. So let's see, Elsha. Let us untap, draw a card. Firemind Vessel. Ooh, interesting. Another ramp spell. So let's go and play that. We don't have enough to play this and our other removal, or our other ramp spell, unfortunately, because we would need 3 mana for one. It only taps for 1. That's unfortunate. Let's see. Oath of Teferi doesn't really help us yet because, well, we could blink. I guess we could blink. Interesting. I am trying to think about what we want to do here. And yeah, Oath of Teferi. So let me think. I guess, honestly, we go ahead and play a ramp spell. So we're going to go ahead and get the Firemind Vessel out into play tapped. Or do it? No, I'm rethinking. Okay, so I'm rethinking. The reason I'm rethinking this, my go-to would probably be to ramp this turn because we can get away with it because there's still not a whole lot going on. But my problem is that the Dralnu deck can still probably have a bunch of counterspell mana put up after it untaps, and Oath of Teferi is definitely a card that anybody would want to see removed. So I guess before we do that, we're going to go ahead and take advantage of Narset one more time. So we will -2, look at the top 4 cards of our library, choose one non-creature, non-land. In this case, so we have something to draw cards, we have something to destroy an artifact or enchantment. Neither of them are necessarily too strong, and the mountain we can't pick, so we're left with Chandra, Fire Artisan, another Planeswalker. It's one that will help us draw cards, and whenever its loyalty counters are removed from it, then it deals that much damage to target creature, target opponent or Planeswalker. So I think we probably want the Chandra in our hand, so that's what we're going to reveal. And then we are going to put the rest of these on the bottom in a random order. After we do that, we are going to pay 5 and cast Oath of Teferi. When we do that, it removes Narset from the game until the beginning of the next instep. So we don't have anything else to do this turn, so Narset is going to come back into play with 5 counters on it, because that's how it enters, is with 5 loyalty. So let us go back to Fira, who is almost certainly going to attack into that Narset to do something. But that being said, we can still cast some spells this turn. So I think that's also what we're going to do, is we're going to look into... Well, we have a removal spell that we could play. I don't know that necessarily we want to play it yet. So let's go ahead and untap and just see what we draw first. So a land card, that's not too bad. So let's go ahead and put that land into play. Let's see. So we do have the capability, plenty of capability here to get 2 spells cast in a single turn, and it doesn't have to be removal. So let's go ahead and pay 2 mana to cast our Orsov Signet, which is an artifact that costs 2, and then it has pay 1 mana, any color. So it's colorless, tap it, and then add a black and a white mana to your mana pool. So we are going to go ahead and activate that. So we're using a swamp to get a black mana and then to activate Orsov Signet. And we will use that to play Restoration Specialist. So now that we've played 2 spells in a turn, we get to look at the top 3 cards of our library, put 1 of them into our hand, and the rest into our graveyard. So here we go, looking at this. I am going to go ahead and pick between these 3 cards. So we have a ramp card, we have a graveyard removal card, which is actually the same card that Dralnu has. I mean, we don't know, the Firja deck doesn't know, but we, the audience, and I know that Dralnu has this Cryptic Incursion into its hand. But then we have this Suffer the Past. So, Suffer the Past is X, colorless, and a black, instant. Exile X cards from target player's graveyard. For each card exiled this way, that player loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. This is going to be incredibly important for swinging the game in our direction against Dralnu. So I am going to go ahead and take it, because the ramp spell, we're ahead of mana right now, and we have plenty of it, so we don't really need more. And Cryptic Incursion does pretty much the same thing, except it's specifically creature cards, and neither of the other 2 decks really use creature cards. So it's not really helping us out too much to keep these cards in our hand, whereas Suffer the Past can get rid of all of the instants and sorceries that Dralnu might build up in its graveyard, and we can simultaneously use that against him to try to kill him in a single turn, maybe later on in the game. So after we've done that, we are going to declare Firja as an attacker against Narset. Narset was at 5 loyalty, so Firja dealt 2 damage to it and killed it. Or not killed it, but brought it down to 3 loyalty. So after that, we are going to pass over to Dralnu. And Dralnu will untap, upkeep, draw a card, and drew another land. So it is Spell Unite Temple. Spell Unite Temple. It comes into play tapped, and then it can, after that turn, after it gets untapped, it can tap for a blue mana, or I can sacrifice it, tap it and sacrifice it to add 2 blue mana. So we're okay keeping that. I guess, let's see. So what can we do here? If we do the Spell Unite Temple now, we could get into casting Sphinx to the Final Word, which is one of our kind of finisher cards. And we're not really necessarily needing to finish like immediately, but this one is going to be really good later on for protecting everything that we try to do for the rest of the game, essentially. So it might be okay to go ahead and play this tapped now. And then what we can do is, since Narset is only at 3 counters left, we do lose the ability to be able to do anything with Dralnu, use his ability. So he has a kind of a weird ability, and you don't really see this guy get played too much. Let me go ahead and put it onto the screen. This is a lot of text. But despite that, it's still an interesting card. It's a 5-cost 3/3 zombie lord, And it has, if damage would be dealt to Dralnu, sacrifice that many permanents instead. So essentially, we never want Dralnu to enter into any actual type of combat. But if we can work around that problem, then it has tap target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard has flashback until end of turn. Its flashback cost becomes equal to its mana cost as you play it. So, the idea here is that he essentially not very there. Okay, so Magic's history overall, there's a lot of cards with flashback, but there is a lot of really great cards, really great instants and sorceries that do not have flashback, and there are some limited chances to give things flashback or recast things from your graveyard, but there aren't very many of them, and there certainly aren't pretty much any within the realm of budget. So, Dralnu being able to give anything and everything that's an instant or sorcery flashback and being able to recast it, cast anything twice, is a really, really powerful ability that we can abuse to a large extent, especially once we get the deck going. So, for now, we lose the ability, but we don't have a strong graveyard yet. And I think it's going to be okay to save what we have in our hand and finish off Narset now so we can start drawing extra cards later. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And Narset has exited the game now. So let me go ahead and click this off now. Okay, there we go. So turning towards the Elsha deck, we're going to untap. Elsha has lost Narset. Ugh. And we will draw for the turn. And we get another ramp spell. So, in this case, now Dralnu does have a bunch of untapped mana, but I think it's going to be more. I think what we want to do is we're going to just go ahead and play both of our ramp cards so that we can get all colors of mana, and we can also tap, like play anything in our hand. So we're going to do that one first. So we paid 3 mana for Rogran Crystal, and Rogran Crystal has tap, add a blue, red, or white mana to your mana pool. So I'm going to use that, and the other 2 islands that I have to cast Darksteel Ingot, which is a 3-cost artifact with Indestructible, and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Loppy, so what are you up to right now? Are you playing any video games? I just started Mortal Shell. It's a decent enough game. I can see its appeal. I think it's really close to being like really, really good. But I feel like the combat can definitely be a touch janky at times. It doesn't always handle like I expect it to. Sometimes I dodge in directions that I maybe didn't feel like I dodged in, and that could be because of button delay. Like button input delay, which kind of sucks, but I don't know, overall it's okay, and I'll probably keep playing it. It just definitely has some difficulties in playing it. So let's untap. I will do this a little bit. So untap, draw a card. We have Tragic Slip, which is a 1-cost black, 1 black instant. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, and then it has an ability Morbid. So if a creature died this turn, instead of -1/-1, it gives -13/-13. It comes from a set that was all about vampires and werewolves and things like that, and unlucky numbers was kind of a running theme throughout. So the number 13 kind of having a myth of being sort of unlucky has gone pretty far. Okay, so let's see what we can do. We want to keep drawing extra cards if at all possible. we see that there are multiple things that the Dralnu deck could cast if it wanted to. I think that what we do is, I think we threaten Dralnu. We want to see what Dralnu's deck is capable of. We're not sure what it can do yet. So we're going to pay 1 white. We're going to cast Swallow Whole. So as an additional cost to cast a spell, tap an untapped creature you control. We are going to tap Fira. And then it has exile target tapped creature, and then put a +1/+1 counter on the creature tapped to pay this card's additional cost. So in this case, it's Fira, and it gets a counter. So now let's look at Dralnu's hand and see if there's really anything that we can do about this. Unfortunately, really the only thing that we could have done was remove Soul, which only counters creature spells. If we had had Dralnu untapped, then we could have tapped him to play Neutralize, but unfortunately we can't do that. So in this case, I think that unfortunately what we do is we just have to let Dralnu die. We have enough mana to recast it, but for now that's just kind of the way that it is. So seeing as we did not get canceled, or countered, I should say, we want to still cast spells this turn. We need one more spell this turn. So we're going to go ahead and play Mortify. And we are going to do that by Orsov's Signet and the Swamp here. So Mortify destroys target creature or target enchantment. And we are going to destroy the Oath of Teferi. So now we did the Dralnu first to see if they had the counterspell. And since they didn't do anything to stop Dralnu from dying, we feel doubly confident that they're not going to stop me from destroying somebody else's stuff, especially Oath of Teferi. So when we Mortify here, we actually get a trigger from Fira, which allows us to look at the top 3 cards of our library, and then we can choose one and put it into our hand. Again, so the Defiant Bloodlord isn't really that, like, we want this, but we don't want it right now. So we're kind of okay with this going into the graveyard. Mind Stone is another ramp spell. We really don't need it right now. But then Invoke the Divine destroys target artifact or enchantment, and we gain 4 life. So I think what we do is we go ahead and we put those into the graveyard. Mortify destroys the Oath of Teferi, and Invoke the Divine goes into our hand. And see here, the thing is that now we have mana open to, we can, on somebody else's turn, we can do Grim Harvest and return the Defiant Bloodlord back to our hand. And then in the same turn, cast Tragic Slip and maybe not kill anything, but we can still get some more card draw from Fira. So the cool thing that we're doing here is that we're just like we are drawing way more cards than anybody else at this point. Nobody else has been drawing extra cards as much as we have. So this is actually really good for us. And then in an emergency, if we don't want to do that, if we really need to destroy something before then we do have Invoke the Divine to destroy a troublesome artifact or enchantment. So now let's see. We can go ahead and attack, and I think we're going to go ahead and do that with our Restoration Specialist for 2 damage, and we are going to I think maybe, I don't think there's really a big this one or that one. So since the Planeswalker deck has more consistent mana, we're going to go ahead and attack them for 2 damage. So they are going to be down to 38 life. And after that, we will pass the turn. Doing pretty good so far, actually. I'm kind of surprised. Like, the card draw from Fira actually is doing really well. And I don't know that that's going to necessarily be perfect every game, but if we can keep drawing cards with Fira, I think this is going to be really, really good. So let's untap, draw a card. It is Innocent Blood. Each player sacrifices a creature. So, interesting. Let's go ahead and play a swamp. I think what we go ahead and do is maybe we do... Well, the Innocent Blood is not like hitting a strong target here, but they can have the ability to get back an artifact or enchantment. So what we're going to do is we are going to pay a black and play Innocent Blood. Each player sacrifices a creature. And see, this goes back to Innocent Blood isn't doing anything strong maybe right this second, but we can always recast it from our graveyard later if we need to. So I think that we go and play the Innocent Blood now, which means that Fira has to sacrifice a creature. We'll turn back a little bit to them, which means that most likely we are going to go ahead and... I think actually what we do is we are kind of okay with this, I think. So Wall of Omens is going to go to the graveyard. That's what we're sacrificing. After that happens, the Dralnu deck is going to tap out to suspend the Aeon Chronicler for 2 mana. So we paid 6 into it. It costs 4 to start, but then everything after that is gravy going into the number of time counters on it. So it's going to be exiled with 2 time counters, which means we will draw 2 cards and then cast it for free. After they tap out, Fira, seeing this, is like, okay, well, at this point, we have 2 different decks that could have counter spells not being able to do anything to stop us. So we are going to go ahead and now we are going to cast the... Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and cast the Grim Harvest to bring Defiant Bloodlord back to our hand. Oops, almost dropped those cards off the table. Defiant Bloodlord is going back into our hand. That's going into the graveyard. And then we are going to Tragic Slip one of our own creatures. Since there's nothing else on the battlefield, we are playing Tragic Slip on Fira. And after we cast that spell, we get to look at the top 3 cards of our library. Oh my gosh. Holy cow, this is really unfortunate. So we are not ever going to put the Scorched... that land into our hand, but we are caught between a rock and a hard place on this one, because Scroll of the Masters is one of our finishing spells. This is one of the cards that's going to actually, I guess it... Yeah, no, I guess... No, I think... Okay, so I was going to say this is a tough decision, and normally it would be, but because Scroll of the Masters can make it so that Fira gets really, really big really quickly. So she'll deal a bunch of damage really quickly. But Exsanguinate is one of the cards that it makes each opponent lose a bunch of life, and then we gain all of that life that they lost. So it's kind of a card that you can play without anybody being able to stop you. The thing is, though, the Restoration Specialist can actually get Scroll of the Masters back into our hand. So we are going to go ahead and put that into our graveyard and put Exsanguinate into our hand, because now we have the combination of Defiant Bloodlord and Exsanguinate. And Defiant Bloodlord, what it does is whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So we are going to like absolutely decimate somebody with the combination of these 2 cards. Until then, though, we just draw the card and play innocent as if we weren't doing something evil. Let us keep rotating around, and this deck is tapped out, so we are going straight over to the Planeswalker deck. It lost the Oath of Teferi earlier, so it doesn't have it anymore. And we are going to keep going over to here and untap, upkeep, draw card. It is another Chandra Planeswalker. That's crazy. This one is actually really, really cool, and we do want it. I'm just wondering what we want to do this turn, though. I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's smarter to go ahead and we need something like this. We are going to cast our commander and then see what else is on top. So 5 mana to cast Elsha of the Infinite. Elsha of the Infinite has prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. It starts out as a 3/3, so it can kind of get nice and strong. Considering that we have a hand full of non-creature spells, then we may look at the top card of our library at any time. So Call of the Gatewatch, nice. That's a really good card. We can't play it now because the other ability is we may cast the top card of our library if it's a non-creature, non-land card, and you may cast it as though it had flash. So we can play it at instant speed. Unfortunately, Call of the Gatewatch is a 3-cost card. We only have 2. And everything else in our hand, unfortunately, costs a lot, but it does allow us to condescend if we need to, and that may become important here soon. So let's rotate back to the Firja deck and see what they want to do this turn. Let's see. Keep going around. Oh. Trying to think about what I'm going to do this weekend. I don't really have any plans yet. I think there's a lot of things that I could do. I'm not sure what I want to do. I'll try to play cards on Sunday as usual, but I don't know if I want to do anything else specifically other than just play some more video games. It's Firja's turn. We're going to untap, upkeep, draw a card. It is Condemn. Put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library, and then its controller gains life equal to its toughness. So that's not too bad. That's a really cheap removal spell that we can use for later. So now the question is, how much mana do we have? We have 7. We could arguably cast Defiant Bloodlord this turn. Everybody is still mostly tapped out, so it does seem like it could be safe to go ahead and do it, especially because Dralnu is the primary concern there, and they're completely tapped out. And being budget, we don't have too much concern about them playing a counterspell for free. There are still a few counterspells that they could play. What is it called? There is one that I'm thinking about that returns an island to your hand. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Days. So Days is a cheap enough card. The original printing is, let me put this up on the screen for a quick second. So you can cast it for free. And they do have a couple of printings. The one that you're looking at and the original printing of that are both actually pretty cheap. You could get it for less than $1 for sure. So that is a good budget card. But I do not believe I have it in this deck. So not that I would necessarily know that, but I would guess that they would probably not have a removal spell in this case. So we are just looking over at the Elsha deck and what they may have. I guess the problem here is that if they do have the removal spell, we would lose access to Grim Harvest, which is a really powerful spell for our deck. So I think maybe it's safer to do this here. So we're going to pay a white to sacrifice Restoration Specialist, and when a creature goes into our graveyard, we will pay 3 mana in order to return Grim Harvest back to our hand. So Grim Harvest is a really cool card. If you don't know about it, it is a 2-cost instant in black, so 1 colorless, 1 black. It is return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and then it has recover, 2 colorless, 1 black. When a creature is put into your graveyard from play, you may pay 2. or you may pay the recover cost. And if you do, in this case, the recover cost is 2 colors, 1 black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to your hand. Otherwise, remove this card from the game. So if we fail to pay the recover cost, then we lose it forever, which would be unfortunate. So here we're going to use the combination of Restoration Specialist and Grim Harvest to return Grim Harvest to our hand. And the card we're getting from our graveyard is Scroll of the Masters. So that's what we're grabbing. We will put it into our hand. Unfortunately, we don't have much else to play. We don't really have too much to play this turn, so we're going to go ahead and pay for Scroll of the Masters. And it means that we have to discard a card, but we're kind of okay with that. We are going to get rid of... This is at the end of the turn. So, Scroll of the Masters is a 2-cost artifact, and it has whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may put a lore... You do put a lore counter on Scroll of the Masters. And then you can pay 3 mana, tap it, target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each lore counter on Scroll of the Masters. Okay, so actually before we end our turn, we cast this, we don't have any mana left, so we are going to, and see, so what we didn't know is that they, well actually, yeah, so what we didn't know is that Elsha had Condescend, and they could have gotten rid of our Defiant Bloodlord. But ultimately, this was the safer bet to go ahead and get Scroll of the Masters when we... Scroll of the Masters when we could and cast it. Whereas Defiant Bloodlord, we would have used all of our mana, and we weren't exactly 100% confident that would have worked out necessarily. Whereas we knew for sure we would be able to do this exchange where we essentially pay 4 mana and we get Grim Harvest back and Scroll of the Masters. So now we can go to combat, and I'm going to use Fira to... oh man, I missed the lifelink. I forgot about the lifelink on Fira. So we did do 2 damage with Fira a few turns ago to attack Narset, so I'm not going to forget it now. We gained 2 life from that because we dealt the 2 damage. Fira has flying and lifelink. So now we are going to attack for 3 damage against Dralnu. So Dralnu is going to take some commander damage on top of that. So they are at 17, or 37, I mean. And we need to start keeping track of Fira damage, because I have a feeling that Fira actually could go all the way, especially with Scroll of the Masters out. So let's go ahead and, let me do this up here. Dralnu has taken 3 damage from Fira. There we go. Can't forget. No forgetting. Not allowed. Okay, so we've got that. And now we need to end our turn, and unfortunately we have to discard a card. I am going to go ahead and discard Terminus. Now, Terminus is a really good removal spell, like a Wrath effect. But we do kind of have a Wrath effect with single combat, and single combat costs 1 less. So Terminate might be okay to go and get rid of. And then we will keep this hand and go from there. And these are all really good cards that we can use for later. So let's pass on to the Dralnu deck. And the Dralnu deck, because there isn't a Narset here to interrupt us anymore, we can draw an extra card with the Aeon Chronicler. So our turn structure is untap, so you untap all the tapped cards you have. Then upkeep. During our upkeep, we actually do have something, and that is removing a time counter from Aeon Chronicler and drawing a card. It's a swamp. And then we draw a card for the turn because we go to our draw step next, and it is another land. Ouch. Lots of the lands that we didn't necessarily need. Kind of just wanted more draw cards, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and play an island. And what we will do is we are going to go ahead and I think that let's go ahead and play Sphinx of the Final Word. So this is going to cost 7 mana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, leaving us a untapped island. Sphinx of the Final Word is a 7-cost 5/5 Sphinx. It has Sphinx of the Final Word can't be countered. It has flying and hexproof, so it can't be targeted. And then instant and sorcery spells you control can't be countered by spells or abilities. So Sphinx of the Final Word, if it doesn't die, is protecting. It's a big flyer, so we can take down Fira now. If Fira tries to attack us, our Sphinx of the Final Word has the final word. And then, not only that, but now, essentially, all of the spells that we cast from now on, nobody can do anything to it. They can't stop me from doing something. They can attempt to. They can redirect it. They can exile it off of the stack, but otherwise, we have full control over those cards now. So that's a really good. That's really good for us. Let's pass on to Elsha, because we're pretty much tapped out. We don't have much else to do. We'll play Dralnu next turn, I believe, especially depending upon what we draw. But we're probably going to re-get Dralnu out so that we have re-access, or we can get back our access to our graveyard. So Elsha's turn, going to untap, draw a card, and that was the card that we knew it was, which is called the Gatewatch. Now we can look at the top card of our library. It's a land. We can't play it, unfortunately. So we will just leave that covered. And I'm revealing it to you guys, but normally I wouldn't reveal it to anybody because it doesn't actually say that we have to reveal it. We can look at the cards, but we don't have to reveal them. So let's see. So, we couldn't really stop anything from happening with our Condescend, unfortunately. We can now have in our pocket, so Call the Gatewatch is a 3-cost white card, so 2 colorless, 1 white, sorcery. We search our library for a Planeswalker card, reveal it, and put it into our hand, then shuffle our library. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold on to this card. We're going to not cast it yet, because what we want to do with it is we want to... we really want to get our good Planeswalkers with it, specifically the ones that can end the game for us or try to help us end the game. So for now, I think what we do is we see what we can cast. Unfortunately, we only have 3 of the, well, actually, so here's what I'm going to do. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 2 red, 2 blue, and we are going to cast Chandra Fire Artisan. It's a 4-cost Chandra Planeswalker. Starts with 4 loyalty counters. Whenever a loyalty counter is removed from Chandra, she deals that much damage to target opponent or Planeswalker. She starts with an okay amount, so let's get a die here. She starts out with 4. Now, her first ability is add 1 and add 1 loyalty counter. Oh, and sorry, before that happens, since we cast a non-creature spell, Elsha of the Infinite is going to get +1/+1 until end of turn, so she's a 4/4 now. We're going to plus Chandra. And again, we feel kind of safe about doing this because there's nobody with counter spells that can stop us. So Chandra, Fire Artisan, is going to gain a loyalty counter and exile the top card of our library, and we may play that card this turn. So, because we can play it, since it doesn't say cast, it allows us to play land cards. So we are going to play a land card. We didn't have a land to play this turn, so we're going to play that land, which allows us to tap 2 more, and we are going to cast Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, which will give Elsha of the Infinite another +1/+1 until end of turn. Chandra, Acolyte of Flame is a 3-cost Chandra Planeswalker, starts out with 4 loyalty counters. She has put a loyalty counter on each. She has give 0 loyalty, but then put a loyalty on each red planeswalker we control. And then it has its second ability is 0 loyalty, add 0 loyalty, and then create 2/1/1 red elemental creature tokens. They have haste, and then you sacrifice them at the end of the next turn. And then it has -2 loyalty. You may cast target instant or sorcery with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card would be put into your graveyard this turn, exile it instead. So what we're going to do is we're going to use its 0 ability to add loyalty counters. So I put a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker I control. So we're going to put one on both of the Chandras that we now control. And now we get to see what our other top card is. Oh my gosh, Rout. Nice. We can't cast it, but Rout is destroy all creatures and they can't be regenerated. So there might be a chance that we try to do that. For now, though, we are going to get a little bit of retaliation. So our Elsha is 5 power. The Firja deck is at 45 life because it gained 5 total. So we are going to deal 5 damage, 5 commander damage to the Firja deck. So Firja takes 5 Elsha damage. Yay. There we go. Getting everybody kind of on the board now, so take that, Firja. Jerk. We don't have a blocker, but all of the creatures that are out are flying, so we couldn't block them anyway, and they're kind of going to do whatever they want to do. But this means that if they try to attack, they could almost certainly kill Acolyte of Flame. That's okay, but if they want to stop Chandra Fire Artisan from getting to its final ability, they're going to have to attack it, and if they attack it, then I get to essentially deal free damage to something, either them or a creature they control or something like that. So, oh, that's not too bad for Planeswalker for our one turn of Planeswalkers. And essentially, even if they die, we still got to do something with them. It's kind of unfortunate that Oath of Teferi went away so quickly. But it's kind of what happens, so it was bound to happen, essentially. We are going back over to Firja. Let's untap, upkeep, draw a card. It is a Plains, not too bad. Now, so we go ahead and play this Plains. And I'm thinking that we're in the same we're almost in the same situation that we were last turn, which was we have Defiant Bloodlord in our hand. We really want to cast it, but we're kind of afraid of it getting counterspelled or maybe removed before it gets back to our turn. That being said, I'm kind of looking at this going, yeah, but we could just go ahead and cast it now. So the Dralnu deck is tapped out almost as 1 blue mana, so they could technically have a counterspell, but probably not one that's 1 mana and counters a creature spell, so we're probably safe there. And the last turn, the Elsha deck could have counterspelled something, and they didn't, so maybe they don't have a counterspell in their hand. We don't know for sure, but they didn't do anything to stop us, so if they had anything, they probably would have played it to stop Scroll of the Masters. We could try to power up Scroll of the Masters to start getting Firja some decent damage, but we don't really need to rush into that. We're going to get there regardless. So it's probably time to just go ahead and play Defiant Bloodlord and see if we can get away with it. So let's go ahead and do... this is 6 mana. That's 7, so that's for Defiant Bloodlord. That's 1 white. So we can still cast Condemn if we need to get rid of something. But otherwise, it's pretty much just like, that's it. That's fine with us. So I think we just go ahead and... Well, yeah, they have 2 Planeswalkers. I'm not super concerned about them, honestly. Especially when I can just attack and deal more direct damage and start narrowing down the window for staying alive once we get Scroll of the Masters going. So I think actually instead of taking out the Planeswalkers, or trying to worry about taking out the Planeswalkers, especially since I only deal 3 damage, I'm not going to kill either one of them. It may be best to go ahead and attack the Elsha deck for 3 commander damage, which will have a much more permanent effect later on in the game. So that's what we're going to do. 3 damage to the Elsha deck. And this is the first time Elsha is taking any commander damage. So here we go. And 3 from Fira. We could try to build up more commander damage on Dralnu, but they do have a 5/5 blocker now, so we can't quite do that right now. Okay, actually, I kind of like this pen over here. Oh, let's see. So that means that it is the end of our turn, and we are going to move back over to Dralnu, who is continuously furious about the inability to counter spells. We keep missing good spells. So let's untap, draw a card, and it is a swamp. So let's actually, no, sorry. So our upkeep is actually removing the last counter from the Aeon Chronicler, which means that it gets casted for free. And then we draw a card for the turn, which is Read the Bones. It's really nice. So, let's see, yeah, I think what we do is we go ahead and we pay 3 mana here. We cast Read the Bones, which is a black spell, 2 colorless, 1 black, sorcery, scry 2, then draw 2 cards. And then you lose 2 life. So we're gonna look at the top 2 cards. We absolutely do not need more land, but we could use this enter the God Eternals. So that's one of the cards that we're going to draw. And then we're also going to draw a Ray of Command. That's actually really, really nice. So let's do that. The reason I'm doing this is because we can't cast Dralnu this turn, but what we do have is a 8/8 Aeon Chronicler and a 5/5 Sphinx of the Final Word. So what this means is we are going to go ahead and double attack the 2 different Planeswalkers. So Sphinx of the Final Word is going to attack the Chandra Acolyte of Flame. So let me go ahead and spin this just a little bit so we can kind of get a better look here. So our Sphinx is 5 power, so we can take out this Planeswalker right here because it's 5. It only has 5 loyalty, so it's dead. Then the 8 power creature is going to attack the Chandra Fire Artisan for 8 damage. It only has 6 loyalty counters, so it's going to take the 6 there. Chandra Fire Artisan, when it loses 1 or more loyalty counters, it deals that much damage to target opponent or Planeswalker. So we are going to just go ahead and blast Dralnu in the face for 6 damage, putting them down to 31 life because they deserve it. And we also did that now so that, because if we had Dralnu out and we tried to do that, they would just hit Dralnu for damage, and then we would be very much up a creek. That would not be good. So that was probably better for us now. We are going to go ahead and play a swamp, and then let's see. Can we kill something else? Can we put some pressure on somebody else? Okay, so Defiant Bloodlord is a 4/5 creature, so we can't quite do something to them this turn. I think what we do is we just hold up all of these cards, and if somebody tries to do something, then we have something. We have some mana to back ourselves up. We have a counterspell, mana open, and then we can do Ray of Command if we need to. So Ray of Command is a quite cool card. It's an instant, 3 colorless, 1 blue. It's pretty cool art too. I kind of like it. Untap target creature an opponent controls and gain control of it until end of turn. And that creature gains haste as well. So basically at instant speed we can gain control of a creature. So let's say the Fira deck powered up Fira and try to attack us. We could take control of their Defiant Bloodlord and use their own Defiant Bloodlord to block Fira and potentially kill one or the other of them. So that is what we're going to hope for. That's like ideal situation. But for now, that's all we're going to do. So we move on to the Elsha deck. Elsha is going to have a cuckoo clock go on in the background really loudly. Go cuckoo for coconuts. Let's see. So untap, upkeep, draw a card, route. It's an interesting thing that we have here. Let's see. How much mana? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mana. What is our top card? It is Seal of Cleansing, so we can destroy an artifact or enchantment. Interesting. I think actually maybe we want to consider doing that. Let me think. I think maybe what we do is we go ahead and get a ramp spell out now. So we're going to pay 4 mana to cast Firemind Vessel. And when we do that, Elsha is going to get +1/+1 until end of turn. Firemind Vessel comes into play tapped. It has tap, add 2 mana of different colors. So that's a pretty cool ability, especially since we're so heavy on blue right now. Okay, so Seal of Cleansing. What I'm thinking here is that Elsha is getting +1/+1 from casting a spell from the Firemind Vessel because it's a non-creature spell. We could here go ahead and cast the Seal of Cleansing from the top of our library and get rid of the scroll right now before anything else can happen. Before they untap and they can tap it in response. So I think that what we do is we go ahead and cast that. So we're going to cast Seal of Cleansing from the top of our library. Elsha gets another +1/+1. We have a land on top of our library. Then we are going to sacrifice the seal to destroy Scroll of the Masters. Elsha is a 5/5. So we are going to, let's see. So we attacked Elsha we attacked Fira, the Fira player, with Elsha last turn. We could attack the Dralnu deck and kind of even out the damage, but I think that we are at the point where we really want to try to start killing off players. So we are going to attack the... we're going to go ahead and attack the the Fira deck again, so we can try to get some more commander damage in. So the choice that they have is that they just used their whole turn last turn to cast Defiant Bloodlord. But it's only a 4/5, so it can't kill my Elsha, and I will kill the Defiant Bloodlord, so most likely they're not going to block. And in this case, I think that it's safe to say that that's not what would happen, but in exchange, I am going to cast Condemn. So looking over here, we have a white mana, and we have the ability to cast a spell, which is not that one. Oof. I'm trying to do this without turning the table too much. Come here. So the Fira deck has Condemn. Put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Its controller gains life equal to its toughness. So, unfortunately, that's what's going to happen. And Elsha is going to go into the command zone. So, when it comes to commanders, if you aren't familiar, commanders, they go into a zone whenever they basically change zones, whether it's your hand or your graveyard or exile or your library or something like that, you can choose instead to put it into your command zone, and then you have to pay more mana, increasingly more mana each time you try to cast that, to recast your commander. So, well, actually, oh my gosh, no, this is perfect. Oh my gosh, this is perfect. I should actually look in my hand. We're going to cast Condemn. So, actually, they are not going to get their Condemn. We are going to get our Condescend and counter that spell because they don't have mana to pay for Condescend. So Condemn is going to get countered. We get to scry 2. I think I want both of these on the bottom. So those are going onto the bottom. From the scry, what do we have on top? So a mountain. Okay, well that's okay. We can live with that. And now Elsha, because we cast Condescend, actually gets another +1/+1. So it is not dealing 5 damage, it's dealing 6. So yes, the Fira deck is going to take 6 damage, be down to 34. And they have taken 11 commander damage now. So they are not too far away from losing the game at this point. Just a couple more attacks from Elsha and they could potentially be dead. So we are going to put that at 11. And that is the end of our turn for Elsha. We're going to go over back to Fira and probably try to take our revenge. Let's see. Let me double check that I remember what we have right here. Okay, that's fine. So, spinning around over here to the Fira deck, we are going to, that's our hand, we are going to untap, untap Fira, upkeep, draw a card. So final payment, as an additional cost to cast a spell, pay 5 life or sacrifice a creature or enchantment and destroy target creature. Okay, so I think what we do now, let's see, how much do we have? We have a decent amount. Is it enough though? How much do we need? Scroll of the Masters is destroyed, unfortunately. So we could do Exsanguinate now, but I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's not the right choice at this point. I am a little concerned about I could do Exsanguinate this turn. And maybe I do. I'm just afraid of what the... Man, this is really tough. Because the Dralnu deck could cast literally anything at this point. They have a solid hand. They have 6 mana open. They could counter everything that I try to play. Which would be unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But at the same time, they might not have anything. And I really do want the Scroll of the Masters back. Because Exsanguinate is just a one-shot card. We could just hang on to it longer and longer. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3. We're going to do that, and we are going to cast... is that what we want to do? Nah, I want to hang on to this. So, it's alright. I'm going to refresh this. We're going to pay 2 and cast Grim Harvest is what we're going to do. So, Grim Harvest is going to return a creature from a graveyard to our hand. We are going to get Restoration Specialist to our hand. That is 1 card. Then we are going to pay 2. One of them, it's going to be a swamp to activate the Orsov Signet. And that Orsov Signet gets us both black and white. We are going to cast Restoration Specialist. which is going to trigger Fira's ability. But then, in response, Dralnu, seeing an opportunity to take charge here, is going to go ahead and pay 2 mana to cast the remove soul that we've been holding on to this like entire game. We're going to counter that restoration specialist, which will not activate. So what's going to happen is remove soul resolves, killing restoration specialist, but it was not in play when that happened, so we don't trigger Grim Harvest's recover ability at all. It just sits there in the graveyard crying a little bit inside. But we do still get Fira's ability to look at the top 3 cards of our library. So, oh wow. So a land, White Mane Lion, and this Angelic Destiny. So I think that we are going to go ahead and put those 2 into the graveyard. And the reason is because we are going to cast Angelic Destiny. It is a enchant creature for 4 mana in white. Angelic Destiny goes onto a creature. Enchanted creature gets +4/+4, has flying, first strike, and is an angel in addition to its other types. And then when the enchanted creature dies, return Angelic Destiny to its owner's hand. Oh, boy howdy. Oh, crap. We, let's see, we gained 3 life, but we actually forgot about Defiant Bloodlord's ability last turn. We are just going to have that happen to 3 damage to the Elsha deck, because Elsha was at 38 and Dralnu was at 31. So okay, so sorry. So we had lifelink on Fira last turn. We forgot to take into account Defiant Bloodlord's ability. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So Fira is now a big creature. It is a it is a 7/8. No, it's 7/10 creature. No, wait. No, 7/9, sorry. It is a 7/9 creature with flying, lifelink, and first strike. And it was already an angel, but now it's like a double angel or something. I don't know. So that means that now we can kind of start double hitting people with Fira, Judge of Valor. That's a big problem for everybody. Let's see. We can't kill those guys. Okay, so what we do is Dralnu has the option of taking control of something as we enter combat. It's kind of a question of who they enter combat against. That's the question. Because if they attack us, then we want to wait. If Dralnu is going to need to take a risk here. So Dralnu can try to predict that Fira will try to attack them. And if Fira attacks them, then they can gain control of the Defiant Bloodlord and kind of hit 2 birds out with 1 stone. They don't lose any life. And sorry, blah, 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 my brain freezed. Defiant Bloodlord dies, and they get the Grim Harvest exiled permanently. But if they don't think that Fira is going to attack them, I guess I think this is the point where Dralnu goes ahead and takes the risk of not activating Ray of Command at this point. They're going to wait until Fira decides who they're going to attack. So at this point, I think that I think this means that Fira is going to go ahead and the Fira player, I mean. So they're going to decide that Fira is attacking Dralnu and Defiant Bloodlord is attacking Elsha. And the reason that I'm choosing this is because Dralnu was already attacked by Fira. So they already have a little built up commander damage at this point. So it makes sense to go ahead and keep trying to build that up, especially because Fira is going to gain life, and by gaining life, Defiant Bloodlord is going to cause somebody to lose more life because of that. So we can, when I say double up, so Fira can attack one player, and then Defiant Bloodlord can cause the other player to lose the exact same amount of life, essentially. So that's how our attacks are going to be. But in response, after they declare attackers, before we really get in deep into declaring blockers, Dralnu is going to pay 4 mana here to cast Ray of Command and gain control of Defiant Bloodlord. And when it does, it untaps Defiant Bloodlord, and now we can use Defiant Bloodlord as a blocker. So we are going to block the Fira with their own Defiant Bloodlord, which is freaking awesome. It's so cool to do this kind of stuff, especially because it means that the Defiant Bloodlord is no longer going to deal any damage to the Elsha deck. The Fira deck does still gain the 7 life from the lifelink, but now they can't get their Defiant Bloodlord back. It's gone. And not only gone, but they also can't do their little shenanigans with Restoration Specialist. So Grim Harvest is exiled, and Defiant Bloodlord is possibly permanently dead, and we don't lose any life. They just gain 7 life, and they are now up to 41 life, which we can always do something about. And we didn't take any commander damage. So that is the end of Fira's turn, and now we go back to Dralnu, who is slowly amassing advantage here, and that's kind of the whole point, is we amass a lot of advantage over small increments, essentially. So we are untap, upkeep, draw a card. It's an island. We are kind of okay with that. We'll go and play that island. We will pay 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. I think that's how we want to do it. Actually, let's go ahead and switch it here. We're going to do that to cast Dralnu again from our command zone. It normally costs 5. Because it went away, we had to pay 2 extra mana to be able to do that. So 7 mana for Dralnu. Now we have Sphinx of the Final Word and Aeon Chronicler. Aeon Chronicler is a 5/5 because we have 5 cards in hand. So we are going to go ahead, and Elsha has not done anything to us. We took other Planeswalkers, so we're cool with them now. We're just going to attack straight into, with both our creatures, we're going to attack for 10 damage into the Fira deck, putting them back down. Let's see. Back lower than they were before, so now they are 31 instead of the 34 they were earlier. And that is going to be the end of our turn. We can't do anything else, but we do have the ability to, if the Fira deck does try to get their creatures back, we have Crypt Incursion to take care of that nonsense. So let us spin around over to Elsha and see what Elsha can do. Elsha can untap their mana, and Elsha herself untap. Let's see, do we want to cast this in speed? No, we can't, so it's a land. We put it into our hand. What's our top card? It is another land, not great, but we will make do. So there's our mountain. Let's see here. We do have enough mana to do Rout and Chandra if we needed to. And I think maybe it might be smart to go ahead and do that. We would lose Elsha, but we're kind of okay with that for one turn because we can always recast Elsha since we do have the mana for it. So let's go ahead and attack. We'll declare attackers. We'll go straight to combat. We will attack Fira for 3 damage from our commander. So now they are at 14 commander damage. Not too long now. And then at the second, let's see. Ooh, interesting. Or do we? Yeah, I think we go ahead and do that. Okay, so we need to 1, 2. We will do white in there. 3, 4, 5. So that is white, red, blue, blue, white. That gets us 5 mana, 2 of them white, which allows us to play Rout, destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. So that does mean we lose Elsha, but that also means that we have 6 mana. We are going to go ahead and pay the 6 mana to cast Chandra Flamecaller, which is a 6-cost Chandra Planeswalker. It starts with 4 loyalty. Its +1 is create 2 3/3 elemental creature tokens with haste and then exile them at the beginning of the next end step. It has +0 loyalty. Discard all cards from your hand, then draw that many cards +1. We do not want to do that yet. We do have some good cards in our hand. And then it has Chandra Flame. It has -X loyalty, so we can choose the value of X and remove that many loyalty counters to deal X damage to each creature. So we can board wipe again if absolutely necessary. But for now, we're just satisfied with killing everything. We are going to create 2 elemental creature tokens just to get pump Chandra up 1. But those creature tokens aren't going to be able to do anything because we already went into combat and we can't do it again. So as we move around here, they didn't have anything that they could do to stop this. So they just lose both of their creatures and Dralnu again. Dralnu not having a great day today. And as we get back around to the Firja deck, Firja is going to have died, gone into our command zone, but we do get Angelic Destiny back to our hand. Okay, so Firja turn, untap, draw a card. It is a land card. Go and play the land. Let's do... let's see. So we really want Firja back. So this is 5, 6, 7 mana. We will cast Firja, and unfortunately we do not have enough mana to really do anything else this turn that we really want to. If we had 1 more mana, then we would absolutely cast Invoke the Divine. Make sure that I didn't miscount here just in case. So this was 7. Yeah, that's 7 mana right there. So no, we can't do anything, but we do have final payment if we absolutely need to be able to take something out. So that's what we're going to do and pass the turn back to Dralnu. Dralnu is going to untap all of their... God, so many lands. Draw a card. Oh my gosh. Lorthos, the game winner. Yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and do that. Lorthos is crazy good. So, I mean, he basically eats up all of our turns, but that's okay. We are going to be able to handle that. So we are going to, I believe it's 8 mana. Yep, it's 8 mana, so that's all the mana we need. We are back down to 3. Lorthos, the game winner, is an 8-cost 8/8 octopus. It has, when it attacks, you may pay 8 mana. If you do, tap up to 8 permanents. Those permanents don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So essentially, we can lock entire players out of the game, essentially. That's why he's the game winner, because we attack with Lorthos, we pay 8 mana, we tap down basically all of their blockers and whatever else, we tap down their land and deal 8 damage to them, and we just keep doing that until they're dead, and then we do that to all of the other players in the game. So we're looking for something really good here. Let us pass the turn back to the Elsha deck. Let's see. So Elsha is going to go ahead and go. Untap, upkeep, draw a card. We get a mountain, which we kind of knew was on the top. Let's play a land. Then we are going to, let's see here. I think the smart thing here is just to pile out all the rest of the cards that we have, essentially. So let's see, make sure that I do this right. So let's say 3 mana here, 2 islands, 1 mountain for Tybalt. Rakish Instigator comes into play with 5 counters. He has your opponents can't gain life, and -2, create 2 1/1 red devil. Create a 1/1 red devil creature token, which when it dies deals damage to target. To any target. That's what I should say. So let's do this 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 more mana. This is white. We will cast Teo, the Shield Mage, which comes into play with 5 counters on it. We have Hexproof, and it has remove 2 loyalty counters, create a 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. So we can make another sort of blocker that we need, which will be useful since Lorthos is around. Then we are going to 1, 2, 3 mana, and we are going to cast Call the Gatewatch from our hand. So we search our library for a Planeswalker card, reveal it, and put it into our hand. So now here's where we try to find the best Planeswalker that we can possibly find, and use that to hopefully win the game. And I think what we're going to look for, I have in mind what we want to find, but I need to find it first and make sure that it's the correct play. So that's the one I'm thinking about. I don't remember if there's necessarily a better one. I don't think so. So we are going to go ahead and reveal Sarkhan the Masterless. Whenever a creature attacks you or a Planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to each creature. And then it has add 1 loyalty. The reason we're getting it is because its first ability is, and you add a loyalty, and then until end of turn, each Planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon creature and gains flying. So essentially we're going to just play him and try to beat some people down in a few turns. I don't know if it's actually going to work out that way, but we're certainly going to try to do that. And that also means that they lose their ability for the turn, their abilities for the turn, but we will activate those abilities first and then get use out of them and then do that. Let's see. So we get Sarkhan the Masterless. We can't cast it this turn. Unfortunately, we only have 3 mana. We are going to -2, bring this down to 3, and we are going to create a Devil. So a Devil token. Let's go ahead and make a little guy here. Let's see, a goatee, right? Devils have goatees. We got a couple little horns here. Let's see, like that, and maybe a pitchfork. There we go. That's our little devil guy. We are going to -2 on Teo and create a 0/3 wall. Let's see, something like Playground Funhouse, apparently, is what we're going to build. Or what we're going to draw. There we go, a 0/3 wall. That's what we got. That's the best I can do on such short notice. There we go. And then Chandra, I think, is going to go ahead and +1. We are going to create 2 3/3s and attack somebody with them. I think we go ahead and use both of them to attack. Actually, no, I guess. Well, shoot. They both have blockers. They both can stop it. Oh my gosh, this is unfortunate. I think we attack Lorthos. I think Fira is a big problem that we don't have really anything that we can do about, but Lorthos is even more of a problem by being able to just obliterate our mana and all of our blockers. So we're going to use Chandra to create 2 3/3s. We're going to use them both to attack the Dralnu deck. One of them gets blocked by Lorthos, the other one gets through and deals 3 damage, bringing Dralnu down to 38 or 28, I mean. And that is all that we can do for now. We just have to go and pass to Fira again. So, getting all the way over to Fira, we untap, upkeep, draw a card. It is Jeskai Barricade. Interesting. Actually, I think what we do is we are going to almost certainly stop Lorthos in their tracks. Lorthos needs to die. The Lorthos is bad news, and we do not like this bad news. We don't like the bad news that he brings. So we are going to pay 2, using 1 to activate Orsov's Signet, to cast Jeskai Barricade, which we normally would use to try to get multiple spells in a turn, but in this case, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to choose not to return another creature to our hand. We're just going to turn around and immediately kill the Jeskai Barricade by sacrificing it to final payment. So we don't lose 5 life to destroy Lorthos. And because we cast 2 spells in a turn, we get Fira's ability. Interesting. So we could get we could get either the lands or we could get Declaration in Stone. I'm going to go ahead and take the spell, put it into our hand, and then final payment finalizes, so to speak. And then we will go ahead and recast Angelic Destiny, which is what makes that card so good. We recast it, enchanting Fira back with it. So now Fira is a 6/8 creature. And let's see. Now in this case, I think Dralnu has fallen back due to being able to just kind of like we've hit something on Dralnu. We could attack them, but I think we just go ahead and we kill the Chandra Planeswalker on Elsha's side because it has 6 loyalty on it. And we do know the Planeswalker card that's in their hand. So we're going to go ahead and kill the Chandra to kind of limit a little bit what the Planeswalkers are capable of. Because that Chandra is actually pretty good. So we gain 6 life when we do that, putting us up to 37. Let's see, does Dralnu have a response at the end of turn? I think that maybe it does. I think we're going to go ahead and play Cryptic Incursion now, and we're going to exile all of the creature cards from Fira's graveyard, which is actually a decent number now. So we have all of these, and I thought, yeah, so Wall and the Leaden Mirror. So we get to exile 6 creatures from, wow, that's actually a decent amount. So 6 creatures from their graveyard, and for each creature we exile, we gain 3 life for that. So we're going to gain 18 life, putting us at 56 life. So, yeah, I think so. 28, 18, 30, 40, no, sorry, 46 life. That's what we're at. There we go. Now it will be Dralnu's turn. Let's see. Let's keep going around. Oh, wow. By the way, everybody, thank you all for continuing to watch. I know that sometimes this stuff can seem a little dry, but this is like this is what I do a lot of times in my free time. I love playing Magic cards. I love playing and finding out new interactions. Not so much with new cards anymore, but there's still so many old cards. It's so fun to like find little nuances and different things. So I'm glad that I can be here and kind of share that with you. And that hopefully you all are enjoying it too. And please do, if you decide that you have any questions that you want to ask, then just shoot me in chat and I will answer those questions. I'm happy to do that. So we get to Dralnu's turn. We're going to draw a card. Blood Gift Demon. Actually might be a good card to get out, but I think we want to see about... Let's see. Oh, ouch. Ouch. Okay, maybe that's what I do. I know that the Planeswalker thing is coming up. They're going to be able to deal 8 damage. It's not a thing that they're going to... That Planeswalker deck can do too much now. With Chandra dead, it's much less damage. It's a decent chunk less damage, and they more or less leave themselves vulnerable, but maybe we kick them while they're down here. And we do that with... We go ahead and play Aether Snap. So Aether Snap has remove all counters from all permanents and exile all tokens. So that means that Elsha is actually going to lose both of their Planeswalkers because with 0 loyalty, they go to the graveyard. And then the Devil token and the Wall token get exiled, so the Devil token actually doesn't... They don't get to deal damage with the Devil token. So then after we do that, we're going to pay 5 mana and cast Blood Gift Demon. It is a 5-cost 5/4 demon with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, target player draws a card and loses a life. So we can arguably use it to kill somebody, but most likely we're going to target ourselves and draw cards and hopefully buy ourselves a little bit more time and be able to get an answer for Fira before something bad happens, because Fira is definitely a problem. So, and this is also the back and forth that happens when you play 3 control decks against each other. Rotate, Elsha untaps, draws a card, clock spinning. Really good card. If I had anything to go with it, we are going to go ahead and go crazy with casting Elsha again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 mana. That gets us... Let's see, is that... I think that's only the second time we've cast Elsha. I think Fira and Dralnu have both been cast twice, but Elsha has only been casted once. So we're at 7 mana for Elsha. Let's see, what do we have on top of our library? Peace Talks. During this turn and the next turn, players cannot declare an attack and cannot play spells or abilities or target any permanent or player. Interesting. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and cast Peace Talks. Actually, no. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. This is such a cool interaction. Normally, the Peace Talks is a sorcery spell, so normally you'd have to play it on your turn, but because of Elsha, we can actually cast it at instant speed, which means that as we pass our turn, they're going to go into their upkeep, and during their upkeep, we are going to actually pay mana and cast Peace Talks. So now, both Fira and Dralnu can't declare attackers, and they can't cast anything that targets a permanent. Okay, so then the top card is just a land, so we're not too worried about... That's kind of... We can't do anything about that or cast anything there. So now we get 2 free... Elsha essentially gets 2 free turns where Dralnu and Fira can't do anything against anybody else, which is kind of nice. It means that Elsha at least gets a turn of before it dies. So Fira's going to untap and draw a card for the turn. Painful Lesson. It is... Let me see Peace Talks again. Oh my gosh, that's cool. So the reason that's cool is that Painful Lessons here has target player draws 2 cards and lose 2 life. Unfortunately, Painful Lesson targets and Peace Dog stops the targeting, so we can't do anything with that. In fact, most of our stuff can't do anything. We really can't cast. I mean, like, we can do Exsanguinate. The question is whether we want to or not. And I mean, we could, but it may be better. Actually, I guess in this case, let's see. The Dralnu deck actually doesn't have access to a whole lot. The Elsha deck, we know that one of their cards is a Planeswalker, so the other card in their hand that they drew, they didn't cast it, so it could be a counterspell. They do have enough mana for it. Let's go ahead and try it. We're going to fire off Exsanguinate here. So 2 mana, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So Exsanguinate for 7, X equals 7. Each opponent loses X life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So each opponent is going to lose 7 life, which puts the Elsha deck down to 28, the Dralnu deck to 39, and I'm going to gain 14 life and be at 53. So harsh. Okay, but that's all I can do this turn, so... And Elsha didn't have a counterspell to stop it, so let's go ahead and... Can't cast a... Let's see... So, Bloodgift Demon is not an activated ability, so we do get to go and use this effect to draw cards. So we're going to target ourselves to lose a life and draw a card. We drew Dimir Aqueduct. Then we are going to draw a card for the turn. Dimir Cluestone. Let's go ahead and try to get Dralnu out again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's enough for that. Then we have to pay 2 and 2. And I think 2 more. Let's see. No, I think... No, actually, I do think we do have that many. Ouch. So there's Dralnu one more time. And that is all we are going to do for the turn because we can't do anything else. We can't attack or target. So tapped out to at least get our commander out one more time. So Elsha's turn again. Untap, draw a card. It is a land. The top card of our library is it Cluestone? That's not too shabby. Let's go ahead and pay 3 islands to cast the Is It Cluestone, and because we cast a non-creature spell, then we get prowess, so Elsha is +1/+1. Our top card is another land, which is kind of annoying. So I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we will tap a red and a blue, tap Is It Cluestone, which normally would tap for 2 different colors of mana, but instead we are going to use its second ability, pay 2 mana, tap it, and sacrifice it to draw cards. We are going to draw this card. And Solemn Offering. Nice. Okay, so that is a good card, especially because I think that means that we pay 3 to cast Solemn Offering to destroy the Angelic Destiny. So let's see. Yeah, so now Angelic Destiny is going away permanently, because it's required for the creature to die for Angelic Destiny to return to your hand. So now Fira is just a lowly 2/4. And Elsha is going to get +1/+1 and be a 5/5 until end of turn. We look at the top card of our library, Nahiri, Storm of Stone. We can't cast... No, wait, we could cast it this turn if we wanted to. But let's see. I think instead we are going to do a silly thing in our hand. We are going to... I'm holding off on Nahiri because I'm kind of wanting it to try to cripple the Dralnu deck. So we are going to pay 4 mana and we are going to cast Clock Spinning. So Clock Spinning is a really, really weird card, and it is 1 blue with 3 colorless to buy back. And the buyback ability just means that instead of going into our graveyard, it just returns back to our hand. So it has choose a counter on target permanent or suspended card, remove that counter from that permanent or card, or put another one of those counters on it. So it's target permanent, and our permanent target is Elsha. So essentially we are just casting this card for 4 mana to do absolutely nothing, except that because it's a non-creature spell, Elsha is going to get +1/+1 until end of turn, making her a 6/6 until end of turn, which means that now we can actually take out a few different things. Let's see. So I think in this case, the Dralnu deck is a little bit scary, but all of our commander damage is still against Firja. We're going to go ahead and attack Firja and see if they block. And I think that 6 damage, that puts them really, really low, but that doesn't kill them. And we are tapped out, so we can't play another spell. So Firja, probably the decision they would make is... Let me think. Let me see what's in their hand. Real quick. Yeah, I think we want to keep control of Firja. I don't think we want to lose it again. So we are not going to block with Firja. We are just going to take the 6 damage and put ourselves dangerously close to losing. So we are at 20 commander damage. We need... If we take 1 more damage from Elsha, we lose the game. So now, let's see, 6. That puts us down to 47 life is what we're at. And 20 commander damage. Yikes. Okay, so Firja's turn again. Let us keep turning back around to our test deck. So a reminder, we are testing out this Firja deck as a budget build for Orzhov, and it is actually kind of going pretty well. I mean, we're not necessarily winning, but we're definitely not losing either. So that's a pretty good sign, I think. So let's untap, upkeep, draw a card. So we get Orzhov Advocist. Oh, that's a really decent card here. So let's see. What we are going to do is we are going to first, we cannot take any more damage from Elsha. So we really have to spend, at this turn, we definitely need to try to get rid of Elsha and make it difficult for Elsha to ever come back. So we are going to declare in stone, exile target creature and all the other creatures its controller controls with the same name as that creature. Then that player investigates for each non-token creature exiled this way. So they are going to absolutely lose Elsha, and they are going to get a clue in return. And I'm sure that I have a clue card. So let me see if I can quickly grab that and put it into play for Elsha. So that's a treasure. Let's see. Saproling treasure. We have the back sides of some of these, but I'm feeling that there's a treasure somewhere. Or I mean a clue somewhere in here. Doop. Let's see. Come on. Where's my clue card? They used to print them they printed them like crazy for a little bit, just because there was a lot of, they were tacking clue abilities onto, or investigate abilities onto so many different things. Horror. That is not it. Where are my clues? I do not have this organized at all anymore. Mirror. Nope. Emblem, Thopter. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm not gonna I'm not going to dig too long at that when I can just draw a clue card. Let's see. So, clue. Do something like this. It's a little sheen, right? Okay, that's a little weird. Let me just do a question mark. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay, clue card. That's what they get for Declaration in Stone. And now I think that we tap 1, 2, 3 and play Orsov Advocist, which is a... Basically, I want to start trying to move towards in-game stuff, and Orsov Advocist is going to get us there because it is a 1/4 human advisor for 3 mana. And at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 encounters on a creature he or she controls. If a player does, creatures that player controls can't attack you or planeswalkers you control until your next turn. So we can basically... They can gimp themselves from not attacking us to power up a creature. And in return, we basically get to power up our creature for free. So I think that that's a pretty good exchange. And because we cast a second spell this turn, we get to activate Fira's ability. We are going to take Sanguine Bond and put it into our hand. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So we are still on track for that. We are hopefully going to make it through one of these times with one of these abilities. Okay, and I think that, let me think. I guess we could attack Elsha again with Fira. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll just attack 2, and that means that Elsha has taken 5 Fira damage. And maybe that means that we can slowly get there. We could try to attack Dralnu, but unfortunately, Dralnu has a flying creature to block with. So now it is Dralnu's turn. We are going to untap, upkeep. We get an ability. We're going to target ourselves to lose a life and draw a card. Then we will draw a card for the turn, which was Epiphany at the Drown Yard, which is a really good card. So let's go ahead and do here, and we will play a swamp. And so here's the really cool thing. We have an entire graveyard to do with whatever we want. And so the question is, what is the best things that we can do? And for the moment, I think that there aren't most of these cards are still pretty specific. We do have 2 removal spells and Ray of Command in our graveyard. And I think that what we do is we hold off so that if Fira tries to do something, then we can just counter it and stop them from doing it. So otherwise, I think what we do is we need to lock ourselves into... we need to first prevent Fira from taking too much more advantage. I mean, Elsha has lost so many cards. There's so few cards, and Elsha may not come back for a little bit. So I'm not too concerned about it. So let's go ahead and cast Enter the God Eternals. It deals 4 damage to target creature, and you gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Then target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, and then we amass 4. So we are going to target Orsov Advocist, which kills it. Then we are going to gain 4 life and be at 41. We are going to choose ourselves to put the top 4 cards of our library into our graveyard. And we are getting a Counterspell, Siphon Flush, and Extinguish All Hope. All great cards. And then we amass 4, so we get a 0/0 zombie with 4 counters on it. So that's also really cool. And again, just kind of bypassing, trying to look for the tokens. 0/0, and we will put 4 counters on it. So now, what else do we want to do? We can I think we just kind of go all in. No, wait, no, wait, no, wait, no, wait, 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 wait. No, not all in. We need to hold up counter magic. Let's go and pay 3 and play Dimir Cluestone. And now we have some mana. We have a few cards in hand. We are going to go ahead and attack with Bloodgift Demon, 5 damage at the Fura deck, bringing it down to 42 life. Then we will pass the turn to Elsha. So Elsha is going to untap with a Cluestone, draw a card for the turn. It is Nahiri, Storm of Stone. Let's see. So let's go ahead and tap 2 mana and sacrifice our clue. So clues are artifacts that have pay 2 mana, sacrifice them, draw a card. So that's what we're going to do. We get another land. Not great. Let's put Azorius Chancery into play. It comes into play tapped. It's a land. It comes into play tapped. And when it comes into the battlefield, you have to return a land you control to its owner's hand, or, well, you just have to return a land. So we're going to return Azorius Chancery to our hand. And later on, it's going to tap for 2 mana is the goal. The goal. So, I think that we need to keep doing something. We need to keep taking action. So that's a red, blue, red. So that's 3 mana, 4 mana, and then 5 mana. We are going to use that mana to cast Sarkhan the Masterless. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, each dragon you control deals 1 damage to that creature. It has +1. It starts with 5 counters, so +1. Each dragon you control deals 1. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Until end of turn, each planeswalker you control becomes a 4/4 red dragon. Or -3, create a 4/4 dragon creature token with flying. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to -3 and create a dragon, which means that we need a new card. Dragon these nuts. There we go. We have a 4/4 dragon, and then we are going to pay 4 mana again to do clock spinning. So we are going to put a counter onto Sarkhan the Masterless, and since we paid the buyback cost, we get the clock spinning back to our hand. Okay, so that's it's not great, but it means we get a blocker, and hopefully we can start building up planeswalkers and maybe get Elsha out one more time and kill that darn Fira with it. So rotating back around to the Fira. The Fira doesn't have another spell that it wants to cast during some other player's turn. So we are going to untap, draw a card, despark, exile target permanent with converted mana cost 4 or greater. Wow. Okay, so I think what we do is this is kind of exciting. We're going to pay 2, and we are going to cast despark and try to exile Dralnu. So Dralnu, being Dralnu, looking over, it doesn't have a counterspell in hand, but we do have a counterspell in our graveyard. We're going to go ahead and tap Dralnu to give cards in the probably count. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap Dralnu and give counterspell flashback. But the thing is that we have a little secret card here. So in response, we are going to cast Suffer the Past for, that's 1 black, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are going to do X = 6 on Suffer the Past, targeting the Dralnu deck. So target X cards from target player's graveyard. So we are going to choose Counterspell Actually, I guess the counterspell is still going to be able to be cast. Well, no, because this is in response to it trying to give counterspell flashback. So we are going to choose. We need to choose 6 targets. So we are going to choose counterspell, siphon flesh, ray of command, innocent blood, neutralize, and probably enter the God Eternals. So I think that's 6 cards. So we are going to choose those 6 cards to exile with Suffer the Past. And then because of Fear's ability, we cast 2 spells in 1 turn. We look at the top 3 cards of our library. And let's go ahead. Okay. Let's go ahead and take this Solemn Offering, and we're going to put Akroma's Vengeance and this land into our graveyard. Actually, no. No, we're going to put Mortuary Mire into our hand. I know that seems weird, but... No, wait, I guess all of our creatures are gone, so it would be pointless. Although, I guess we could get back the Advocist. Yeah, we go and get Mortuary Mire into our hand, so that's in our hand. So, Suffer the Past is going to exile these cards, which means that Dralnu's not going to get to take them. We gain 6 life, and they lose 6 life. So that's 1. They're at 35. We are at 48. And then that's resolved, and our Despark exiles Dralnu. So they lost Dralnu and cards that they could use in their graveyard. So we double hit them. But we don't really have good... I guess we could attack Dralnu, and maybe that's what we go ahead and do, because there's not much we can do elsewise. So we're going to attack Dralnu, and Dralnu is going to take 2 damage from Fira, which means that... Oh, we were supposed to gain 2 life from attacking Elsha the other turn. So we actually have 4 life more. We are at 52 life. Wow, this is a wacky battle. I did not expect this to happen. I kind of expected Dralnu was probably going to crush everybody. Let's see. I guess we untap, upkeep. We target ourselves. We are down to 34 to draw a card from Blood Gift Demon's ability. We draw another card for the turn. Play a swamp. We need to recast Dralnu. Although, I guess at this point, maybe, since that spell is gone, maybe what we do here is we do Epiphany at the Drown Yard. Is that what we do? Yeah, I think we go ahead and do that. We're going to do Epiphany at the Drown Yard. So that means 1 blue and then 1, 2, 3. So that's the blue to cast it. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We are going to tap here 13 cards. We reveal the top 13 cards of our library. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So here's this. Oof. I kind of have a feeling how this is going to go. So reveal the top 13. Oh, +1 card. And we separate them into 2 different piles, and an opponent chooses one of those piles to put into our hand, and the other goes into our graveyard. So 14 cards, 7 and 7 seems like a good number. Let's say 3 lands and 4 lands. And then, did we do that right? 7. So 4 cards on one side, 3 on the other. Forbidden Alchemy. Let's see. Here. Actually, let's put this on this side. Do it like this. Okay, so the reason I'm separating them into these 2 piles, how I'm doing it, is because one pile is land heavy, but it has better spells. It has some more draw spells and Rise from the Tides, which is a really good card for us. Then on the other side, we have essentially two removal spells, one draw spell, and something that returns cards back to our side of the from the graveyard to our side of the battlefield, and then has 3 lands. So either we get more spells and fewer lands, so we get to do more things with fewer lands, or we get fewer things to do but better things to do them with. So we are going to choose the Elsha deck to separate these two, and I think that we don't really want them. See, the problem is that Rise from the Tides is a really, really, really good card, and we really don't want them to have it because it has put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. So I think we kind of have to put that into the graveyard so they don't get it. And then we move this over. We let them have extra removal spells and such. So this still means that Dralnu can cast it from the graveyard, but we just have to get Dralnu out and stick it for a turn. So let's go ahead and go to combat. We are going to attack the Fira deck for 8 damage and put them down to 44. 9 damage, so 43. And then we need to discard cards from our hand, so we're just going to get rid of lands, essentially, until we get down to the number, because we want to keep as many spells in our hand as we possibly can. So there we go, there's our 7, and we pass the turn. Somehow, Elsha managed to stick a Planeswalker for, more than one turn. That 4/4 dragon actually does mean something, I think. So let's untap, upkeep, draw a card. It's a land. It's kind of like we're getting all of the land, essentially. So let's play one of those lands. Then we are going to 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to clock spinning, give Sarkhan the Masterless an additional counter, and then we are going to minus to create another dragon. So we have 2 4/4 dragons now. Then we are going to pay 4 mana here to cast Nahiri Storm of Stone. And I think that what we do is we want to kill something. I think we go ahead and it starts with 6 counters. Nahiri is a Planeswalker that, as long as it's our turn, creatures we control get first strike, and equip abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate. But then it has remove X loyalty counters. And it deals X damage to target tapped creature. So we are going to remove 4 counters and kill the Bloodgift Demon so that it loses a flying creature and loses extra draw ability. So that's certainly a good choice there. And since we have 2 4/4 flying dragons to block with, that's equally as good. And we are going to go ahead and pay 4 and clock spinning one more time on Sarkhan the Masterless to give it another loyalty counter. And that is all we're going to do, because we're just going to play defense right now until we can get enough dragons to really start beating somebody's face in. Oh. This will end one day, I swear. Rotate over to Fira. Fira's going to untap, draw a card, another land. We are going to put Mortuary Mire. Oh, we were supposed to do that last turn. Crap. Okay, so we are going to put Mortuary Mire into play tapped, which allows us to put Orsov Abdicus onto the top of our library. Then we are going to, we have 5 mana we are going to cast Sanguine Bond. So whenever we gain life, target opponent loses that much life. Then we are going to pay 1, 2, 3 to cast Invoke the Divine. So destroy target artifact or enchantment. You gain 4 life. We are going to target the Firemind Vessel, which taps for 2 mana that Elsha has. After we cast a second spell, we get to look at the top 3 cards of our library. And okay, well, those are going to the graveyard. We get Orsov, Advocist back to our hand. We gain 4 life, which puts us at 47. And we are going to have Elsha lose 4 life because of that. So they are at 24. Thera is then going to attack Dralnu for 2 damage, which puts... No, wait, that's Elsha, sorry. So Dralnu is going to go to 7 commander damage from Thera. They lose 2 life. They're down to 32. We gain 2 life. We are at 49. And we are going to make, because of Sanguine Bond, we are going to make the Elsha deck lose 2 life. Okay. That is all that we can do this turn. We are going to pass the turn. So going back to Dralnu, we are going to untap, upkeep, draw a card, dissipate, a removal spell. Let's go and play a swamp. Then we need to get Dralnu out as soon as possible. 5 mana for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is all of the mana that's need. No, wait, we said 3 last time, so we need 2 more this time. That is to cast Dralnu. And now, hopefully, we will get 1 turn where Dralnu does not die, and we can cast the frickin' whatchamadealy. Sorry, we're going to cast the Rise from the Tides from our graveyard and get a bunch, hopefully get a bunch of zombies and maybe win the game from there. Okay. We are, yeah, sorry. We are going to, we still can do an attack. We are going to use, we're going to attack Thera for 4 damage, putting them down to 45. Elsha's turn. You don't know if you believe me. What don't you believe? When I say it's going to end quickly? Or when I'm going, if I'm going to get Dralnu for a full turn? Untap. Upkeep, draw a card. Ignite the Beacon. Okay. So that's not too shabby. Let's play a Plains. Let's see. So Ignite the Beacon is a 5-cost instant. Yeah, it's not going to end quickly. Maybe it will. I don't know. We're going to find out. Ignite the Beacon. Search your library for up to 2 Planeswalker cards. Reveal them. Put them into your hand. Then shuffle your library. So I think that maybe this means we... Let's see. Let me think about this. So we... Oh, Firemind Vessel is destroyed. That is gone. So 5 mana for that. We could arguably get like 2 Planeswalkers, 1 4-cost, 1 3-cost. This is definitely one of those times. I suppose so, but even still, I'm trying to get it done quicker. Let's see. We could try to make... We could almost certainly make another dragon without losing Sarkhan. But I think that... I think we go and do Ignite the Beacon. Let's go and do it. So here's Ignite the Beacon. We search our library for 2 Planeswalker cards, reveal them, and put them into our hand. Let's see. we do actually have more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So we could do. We could do that Sarkhan this turn. And maybe, let's see. Yeah, I think maybe we go ahead and do this. So we're going to grab a Saheeli Sublime Artificer, and we're also going to grab Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker. So we're going to have 2 different Sarkhan Vols. Shuffle real quick. Do this. Here we are going to pay 3 mana first to cast Saheeli Sublime Artificer. Comes into play with 5 counters on it. Target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature until end of turn for -2 loyalty. And whenever I cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token, which we actually did have and could probably find readily. So we are going to then pay 5 mana, 2 of it red here. So we have a mountain and this alpine meadow to cast Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker. 3 abilities, starts out with 4 counters. Oh wait, 4 counters. Okay, and because we did that, because we cast a non-creature spell, we get a servo card. Let's go ahead and find a servo. Okay, so the reason I got the Sarkhan is because we can use its first ability. It starts with 4, +1. Until end of turn, it becomes a legendary 4/4 dragon creature token with flying, indestructible, and haste. So we should, yes, the abilities that we gained should remain. When we do, let's see. So do we want? Yeah, we're going to go and use Saheeli's ability to turn an art. No, wait, oh no, the servo is can't attack this turn. All of our lands and artifacts are tapped. So no, we don't want to do this. We are going to +1 Sarkhan and turn all of our planeswalkers into dragons. 4/4 dragons until end of turn, and they gain flying. So we are going to, our Sarkhan right here that we just played has haste, so we can attack with it. The only things we can't attack with are the servo and our now 4/4 dragon Saheeli. So now we can attack with 5 dragons, dealing 20 damage. So I think that in this case, everybody's bad right now. Everybody's dangerous now. We are going to go ahead and attack with all 5 of our dragons at Dralnu and take Dralnu down to 12 life. So hopefully that means that maybe Firja can help us out here and try to kill off Dralnu before he gets the Rise from the Tides. We will be killing people. We're getting very close, actually. I mean, we're getting close to at least one person dying. Hopefully they will be dead, because Dralnu does cause a lot of the problems. It slows this down, trying to beat people out of the game. So Firja is going to go untap, draw a card. We get a swamp, play the swamp. Let's see. We do want to do, let's see, 1, 2, 3 mana. We are going to target ourselves with Painful Lesson. So Painful Lesson costs 3, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. So this is our 2 cards, and we lose 2 life. We're down to that. Let's cast Unmake. So let's see, 1, 2, 3 mana. We cast Unmake, targeting Dralnu, so remove target creature from the game. When we cast a spell, we get to look at the top 3 cards of our library, put one of them into our hand. It's going to be Read the Bones. Unmake finishes, Dralnu is exiled. We haven't played a land this turn, so we are going to play a land. We are going to go ahead and just keep going. We're going to play Read the Bones, scry 2, then draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Oh, good golly. Yes, we want this card on top, but we don't want the other card. Okay, draw 2 cards, 1, 2. Here we go. Another freaking land. Oh, well. We are at 41 life. Then we are going to go ahead and cast Orsov Advocist. So we... At the beginning of our upkeep, we can start making Fira stronger, and then people can do the same to their creatures, but then they can't attack us. So then we are going to attack for 2 damage on Dralnu, and then we gain 2 life, and Dralnu is at 9 commander damage from Fira. And we are going to make them lose an additional 2 life and be down to 8. Okay. Dralnu's turn. Dralnu is going to untap, upkeep, draw a card. Interesting recoil. So let's see. We have so much freaking mana. But we can do some tricksy things, I think. Let's go ahead and we are going to interesting. Let's see. We are going to cast Reigns of Power. So Reigns of Power is untap all creatures I control and untap all creatures target opponent controls. That's going to be the creatures that Elsha controls, which is 2 4/4 dragons and a 1/1 servo. You and that opponent each gain control of all creatures the other controls until end of turn, and those creatures gain haste until end of turn. So we are going to do that so that I can get 2 dragons and hopefully kill off a couple of their... we're going to use the dragons to kill off 2 of their planeswalkers. Let's see. Yes, I think that's what we do. We are going to... So this zombie is actually over there. We are going to attack with 2 dragons and a servo. The servo is going to attack 1 Sarkhan Vol, but the Sarkhan, the dragon speaker, but then the 2 other the two flying dragons that we have are going to attack these 2 planeswalkers and kill them. So they are both dead. Those planeswalkers are dead. They have this zombie, so that zombie's going to block the servo, and the servo is going to die. So the servo is gone now. Okay, so that's how it's going to be, but not necessarily. What we are going to do is we are going to also cast Nightmare Unmaking, because we are so low on life. So 5 mana here. Choose 1. Exile each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand, or exile each creature with power less than the number of cards in your hand. We have 6 cards in hand. We're going to exile all creatures with power less than. So this zombie is exiled. These dragons are exiled. Fira is exiled. Advocist is exiled. And then we are going to do... We are not going to do anything else, I think. I think we're just going to save our mana because we have Recoil in our hand and we have Tragic Slip. We're going to use that to protect ourselves. So let's go ahead and move over to the Elsha deck. Untap, draw a card. It is Impulse. So let's pump Sarkhan up to 6. And we are going to attempt to swing at the Dralnu deck. The Dralnu deck is going to cast Recoil, return target permanent to its owner's hand, and then that player discards a card. So they are going to return Sarkhan Vault to their hand and then have to discard a card. We're going to discard the Siri Refuge. Then we're going to go to our second main, play a land. Then we are going to cast Sarkhan Dragon Speaker again. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how we're going to pay for that. So when we cast a non-creature spell, we get a Servo from Saheeli. Then we are going to pay 1, 2. And let's see, this is up to 4. We're going to cast Impulse, which gets us a second Servo. And we look at the top 4 cards of our library and choose one, put it into our hand. We are going to choose... Actually, I guess... Yeah, we would have redone this because what we would do is we would actually redo this mana so that we had 2 blue. Because once they try to recast Sarkhan, we would dissipate it so that they can't get Sarkhan. We have Dissipate. So there we go, Dissipate. No more Sarkhan. It is the Exiled. But we still do get the Servo. And we still cast Impulse. We are going to... I guess, honestly, actually, if we're going to go back and redo that, then we would actually cast Impulse in response. And we would end up seeing our own Dissipate. So we would put Dissipate into our hand and then cast it to cancel out their Dissipate. And we would still get our Sarkhan Ball. And that would be at 4. And this would be at 3. And then we would have enough to do 4 and do Clock Spinning to give Sarkhan Vol another counter. Then we would activate Sarkhan Vol's ability to turn itself into a dragon until end of turn. Oh gosh, that's really, really good. Okay, so that's the end. Oh no, wait, so Clock Spinning. So that's 4 servos that we're going to be able to attack with next turn. Okay, pass the turn back to Fira. That's exiled. Let's see. Oh, we are getting close, people. Very, very close to the end of this game. We have Fira's turn. They're going to untap, draw a card. Snowfield, Sinkhole, not great, but not terrible either. We're going to play that. Let's see, how much mana do we have? So we need to recast. If we want to recast Fira, then we need that much mana, which doesn't leave us with much left over, which not beautiful, but maybe we go ahead and do that anyway. We get Fira out one more time. Fira, Judge of Valor. And let's go ahead and pass immediately. So next turn, we're going to have Grey Merchant of Asphodel to really hit somebody in the face pretty hard with Sanguine Bond. This isn't nuclear weapons close, isn't good enough. Like, I keep saying that, but then somebody has a response, so... At least these decks are really well balanced, it seems like. Untap, draw a card. We have another counterspell. Oof. Let's go ahead and try to get out Dralnu. So this is 5, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. That's enough to recast Dralnu. another time. I don't think there's... Well... Oh. Do we do that? Crap. I guess we do that. Yeah, I think that's what we do. Yeah, not one deck is blowing any of them out of the water, and I kind of like that. I do kind of would like to see two other people play like two of the decks and see how it responds that way, and see if it's still really even, or if maybe how I play cards kind of helps make games more even. So, okay, so untap, draw a card. What is it? It is Boros Signet. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That should be enough to recast. Yeah, I think we go ahead and recast, dang it, our Elsha Queen here. Then let's see. Oh, okay. I see. What is our top card? A freaking land? How many freaking lands do I have in this deck? Okay, well, that's okay. So, what we're going to do is we are going to... First, we're going to move Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker into its becoming a 4/4 dragon indestructible. That's what we're making him, 4/4 indestructible. Then we are going to -3 on Saheeli, and we're going to turn Darksteel Ingot into a copy of a creature we control. So we're going to make it into a copy of Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker. And then we are going to 4 servos and this dragon planeswalker are going to attack or try to. I guess we hold off on that. We're just going to attack with these two. So we're going to attack with 2 dragons, and we're going to take Dralnu out of the game. Yay! One person! Finally! We can do it, I swear. we can make things happen. Dralnu is gone. Dralnu can't do anything. Bye-bye, Dralnu. We loved you and didn't love you at the same time. Okay. So, there's all of that. And let's get the rest of this stuff so that we can move Dralnu out of the way for finally dying. Thank you, Dralnu, for a good game. Because what we're going to do is we're going to slide Firja around a little bit and make it easier to play. So let's move all of the Firja cards over to where Dralnu was. Over here, these are our exiled cards, our deck, and our insanely large graveyard. Okay, Firja's turn. Untap, draw a card. Slaughter the Strong. Okie dokie. Let's go and play this land. We are going to, first of all, actually, let's see. Yeah, actually we can play 2 different spells this turn. Okay, so first spell we're going to play is actually Single Combat. So what Single Combat does is it's a 5-cost sorcery. With each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control, then sacrifices the rest. Players can't cast creatures or planeswalker spells until your next turn. So they are going to have to... We have 1 creature. We don't care. That's all we're going to do. But they're going to have to choose between their tons of creatures and planeswalkers which one they care about the most. I think in this case, with this... We just have to do 1 more damage with Elsha. And they are at so much life. I think that's our only outlet for actually winning. So we are going to go ahead and sacrifice all of the rest of our planeswalkers and creatures. They're all going to go away. We just have this. And that's just what we have to do. But we are not done with the Fira deck. We have 5 more mana. We are going to cast Grey Merchant of Asphodel. First, we get a Fira trigger, so we look at the top 3 cards of our library. Well, crap. Pontiff of Blight. That's what we're going to choose. That's what we're putting into our hand. Okay. So, Grey Merchant of Asphodel, its ability is it's a 5-cost 2/4. When it comes into play, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black. Then you gain that much. You gain the amount of life lost. So our devotion to black is basically just count up all the mana symbols and the cards that you control. Grey Merchant has 2 black, Fira has 2 black, and Sanguine Bond has 2 black. So we are going to... Grey Merchant of Asphodel is going to cause Elsha to lose 6 life. So they are at 16 life. But then we gain 6 life as well, putting us at 49. And then because we gained a life, Sanguine Bond is going to have target opponent loses that much life. So they're going to lose another 6 life and be down to 10 life. Then Fira is going to go ahead and attack for 2 damage in the air, which puts them down to 8 life. And Elsha has taken 7 commander damage here. So 7 damage from Fira. Except that Fira has lifelink, so we are going to gain 2 life, and then Sanguine Bond is going to cause them to lose 2 more life, putting them down to 6. We are very, very, very close on that. And Pontiff of Blight is definitely going to help us get all the rest of the way. So let's go ahead and pass to Elsha and see if Elsha can actually manage to get through this. So they untap, they draw a card. It is a plains. Let's look at the top card of the library. It's an island. That is not a good sign. Let's see. So let's do this. We are going to pay 2 mana. We are going to play Boros Signet, which gives Elsha +1/+1 because of prowess. Then we are going to clock spinning. Let's see. Let's make sure we don't have like any flashback or something else crazy that I've forgotten all of this time. It doesn't look like we do. Nope. No flashback. No nothing. So clock spinning. Here is 4 mana for clock spinning, which gives Elsha another +1/+1. Then 4 more mana, +1/+1. 4 more mana, +1/+1. So clock spinning has given +3/+3 in total. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Yes. I think so. Yes. So +3/+3 plus the Signet was another +1. So 4. So it's a 7/7, but that's about all that we can do. So 7 damage just flat out. And unfortunately, the Grey Merchant of Asphodel does block. So we do not lose. Fira does not lose the game. We are untapping Fira for Fira's turn. Untap, draw a card. It is Death Gasp. Well, that's it. No more. Nothing else needs to be done. We don't have to cast any other cards. We just do 1, 2. So that's to pay the cost. Then our X is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana. We have Death Grasp deals sets 12 damage to Elsha. We gain 12 life, and they lose another 12 life from that. Wow. Fira for the win at the very end. We did it. We did it. Oh, okay. Oh man, that was a long game, guys. But I guess 3 hours is what I said that I would kind of like to see. So that works out for us. Wow. Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed the game tonight. It's getting pretty late for me on my side, so I think we're gonna close up pretty quick here. But if you enjoyed it, just You can let me know next time if you see my stream on again. I do post these VODs to Facebook, but not or YouTube. I mean, not Facebook, to YouTube. Thank you. To YouTube, but so you can always try to find me there, it's just kind of under the same name. But yeah, I'm still having fun with this, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. I play on Sundays and either Wednesday or Thursday night, so you can join me again there. So thank you and have a great weekend.